Hey guys, it's Carla. I am here again in my kitchen for another episode of That Sounds So Good. Today I'm going to be making charred flatbreads with whipped ricotta, mushrooms, and scallions. What are these asparagus doing here, you might ask? You'll find out later. I am indoors at the moment. We will soon be outdoors where we're gonna fire up the grill. Today we will take our love of grilling, our love of our vegetarian friends, our love of vegetables, and our love of fire and combine them together so that everyone can join the grilling fiasco. I mean, inferno. Might be a fiasco, we don't know. The first thing I'm gonna do is make the flatbreads. And I know that making your own bread could sound intimidating, but it's really not. If you can make a pancake, you can make the batter to put together this little flatbread dough. This recipe is from the weekend section of That Sounds So Good. When I'm grilling, I really love to get stuff sort of knocked out at the beginning before people even come over so that when I'm grilling, I'm chilling. You know what I mean? So the first thing is getting the flatbreads done because they can hang out for hours until you're ready to grill. This is equal parts whole wheat flour and bread flour. Whole wheat flour gives these like a nice nutty kind of depth of flavor. The bread flour helps to give them structure and chew. But if you wanted to use 100% all-purpose flour, you could. They will not have that same like nuttiness and color that you get from the whole wheat flour, but who cares? And if you don't use bread flour, they're going to be a little bit fluffier and a little less chewy. Also delicious. I poured a bunch of flour into this, but it's totally fine. I'm seasoning the flour with spices. So this is cumin seed, about a tablespoon. I've got baking soda, baking powder, so those are going in. And just a little bit of sugar. And a lot of bit of salt. So now that all of the dry ingredients are in here, I'm just gonna whisk it together to combine. I did this recipe when I was working on the development with lots of different spices. I ended up with cumin because even a little bit of cumin seed does impart a lot of flavor. As my friend Andy Baragani says, cumin is obnoxious. And what he means by that is like, when cumin's in the room, everybody feels it. But I've also done this with a mixture of turmeric and Aleppo pepper. You could use coriander seed and fennel seed. Paprika would give it a really nice, like burnished color. So just play around. It's a great way to use up spices. And also you could leave the spices out if you want to. Now, wet ingredients. This is Greek yogurt. This is gonna give it tang. It helps with tenderizing. It's also a liquid ingredient and it's got fat. So the yogurt is kind of doing a bunch of things here. Extra virgin olive oil. If you wanted to use regular vegetable oil because you didn't have extra virgin, you certainly could. You could also use a melted fat like ghee. And I also have just a little bit of regular cold water. I can already smell the cumin. The thing is, cumin is a strong flavor and cumin as a guest might be slightly obnoxious, but I personally like the personality of the cumin and I want to know that it's there. So big personality, big spice, you're invited. You can customize this dough. You can use all different kinds of veggies. You can put different spices in it and you can invite different friends. You can invite your veggie friends, you can invite your omnivorous friends. If you have like a hippie friend in the group, because we've got some whole wheat, we've got some yogurt going on, that person might wanna hang. And then everybody has the friend who is invited to the grilling party and then wants to do the grilling themselves, right? That person, kind of like cumin, is a little obnoxious, but exists. That person can come because the grilling part of this is super easy. All right, so now that things are sort of together, the dough still feels wet, there's some crumbly bits, I can switch over to bringing this together by hand. I think a lot of vegetarians show up at grilling parties with a freaking tofu dog in their backpack because nobody ever thinks about them. And they think that they're gonna have to bring their own food because the only thing that ever gets grilled at a grilling party is a pork product or a beef product or a poultry product, or even a swimming product. And that's just not true in this case. So the dough is basically there. It's together. It feels elastic. It feels smooth. It's not sticky. It's not dry. And it's holding together. So the dough needs to hang out for at least 20 minutes, but could go much longer, hours ahead. The dough needs to rest because of the gluten. If I tried to roll it out right now, it would snap back on me, but it can go longer than the 20 minutes. So you have a lot of freedom to organize your day however you want. If you have a container with a lid, that's a great environment for your dough to be in. You just want it airtight. You could also just wrap it in plastic wrap, and it can hang at room temperature. The whipped ricotta mixture is incredibly simple. You can embellish it if you want to. I'm starting with fresh ricotta. Look for a full fat one. It's just more flavor. I'm seasoning it with lemon zest, and I'm gonna hang on to this lemon for later. It smells delish. If you wanted to, I kept this recipe wanting to keep the ingredient list for everything super short, but you could definitely grate some garlic in here. You could add finely diced shallots if you wanted to. You could use other spices, make it spicy if you care for that. If you are not only a vegetarian, but you are in fact a vegan, congratulations, it's really great. You probably don't want to use this ricotta, so instead, what do you use? Little cashew cheese? Would you be into like a white bean puree? Would you be into some super luscious hummus? All of those things could be delicious. Baba ganoush could be great too. It's just you want something fatty and luscious and creamy that's gonna be a nice counterbalance to the nice grilled smoky veg, and also having something creamy down on the top of the flatbread will keep these things from just rolling off, because if you put things directly on top, nothing to stick them down. So I'm not using a spoon. I want the whisk just to get this super smooth and creamy and lightened a little bit. If you wanted to do this and you have a food processor, you could do it in there and whip it up and get it nice and light. So sticking that in the fridge and get started on my veg. It is springtime here in Brooklyn, so I'm using springy vegetables today on the flatbreads, and they're going to be grilled. My indoor work is just kind of trimming them up. So for the mushrooms, these are oyster mushrooms. They're in nice clusters. I want to keep them in pretty big clusters so that grilling them is easier. They don't fall through the grates. They stay nice and juicy, but just taking off any brown or tough parts of the stem in advance. Other spring things that would be really incredible are all of the snap beans, the sugar snap peas, string beans, Romano beans, delicious grilled. You could also do this with grilled radishes or turnips. Sounds weird, but it's delicious. Grilled carrots, also super tasty. So you could do all of those different veggies and just do the same thing, trim them up, give them the same treatment. And if you had leftover cooked vegetables in the fridge, you could also use those as your topping. I don't know how you snap asparagus, but the way that I was raised, you kind of feel along the stem until the asparagus kind of naturally wants to snap. Then I also have just the most amazing scallions you've ever seen. And these I'm going to grill whole as well. Can chop them up afterwards. The roots are actually very delicious. I mean, these hardly need anything. They get like caramelized and they taste like little caramelized onions. So now that the veg is cleaned and prepped, it's getting the good old olive oil, salt, and pepper treatment. Truly my favorite treatment at the vegetable spa. And this as well, you can do this. I wouldn't do this the day before, but hours before, and let your vegetables kind of marinate in their seasonings. Definitely delicious. Same thing, scallions have been lubricated and peppered and salted. This would be the time in flatbread party day that you can hit pause. You can go hang out, you can take a nap, you can watch TV, you can do a really cool hairdo and makeup, whatever you want to do. You don't need to really get your grill going for a couple of hours. You could do it in 10 minutes or you could do it 3 hours from now. So decide what kind of a window you want to give yourself, and when you're ready to cook, fire up the grill. As usual, I am out here in my wood burning oven, which I love and is wonderful and fantastic. But if you don't have one of these, turn your gas grill on to medium high or just set up your regular kettle grill for the same kit and caboodle. I've had some logs going for a little while, so I've got a nice bed of coals. When I say direct heat, what that means is you're gonna have the flames or the heat source directly underneath where you're cooking the food. Sometimes you have the heat source off to the side so you can have kind of surrounding heat. In this case, we want maximum heat directly below what we're cooking. All of the vegetables are gonna cook at slightly different rates, but if you have the real estate, you can put them all on the grill at the same time. Ooh, popping, snapping, crackling. The scallions took the least amount of time. They were closest to the fire and they are the smallest. This is city grilling. This isn't like paradise grilling. Asparagus is also looking good. Some of my mushrooms look ready. How do you know when your mushroom is ready? I'm looking for golden brown color. I'm looking for a tenderness. I'm looking for a juiciness. There's always going to be hot spots in your grill. There's going to be parts that are a little bit hotter than others. Another thing I love about grilling is like you're not spacing out. You didn't stick a cake in the oven. You're cooking, you're watching, you're listening to the sounds of construction, but also the birds and also the sizzling. This is like a stand around party starter, kind of a snack to me. Just gonna get everybody into bite-sized pieces. But you still want to retain like some of the pretty shape so that people know it's a mushroom. And because we kept these like cool clusters. All right, next up I've got these gorgeous scallions. The benefit of grilling them with their greens, some got a little carbonized, but it's fine, is that you have a mix of textures. There's like the thicker bulb that's gonna be juicy and sweet and have a little bit more texture to it. So I'm going to cut that kind of thinly down there. And then the flavor of the greens that got really charred and caramelized is going to deliver like a sweet and bitter and definitely smoky flavor. So you definitely want to use the entire scallion. And then to this, I'm going to add some lemon juice. So we've got the lemon zest in the ricotta mixture. So now that fresh juice is gonna brighten up all these smoky flavors in the veg. And I also have some parsley. You could use any fresh herb, basil, chive, mint, cilantro, would all be really delicious. Here's my bonus asparagus. Same thing. Want it bite-sized, but still giving asparagus. My medley is complete. It's time to flatbread. The cumin seeds became like a gorgeous green color, which I've never seen before. It's very relaxed now, as we all are. And I want to get it into 4 roughly equal pieces. Obviously, if you're having more vegetarians come over, you can double this quite easily. They're not going to be in a shape. I just want to say that up front and set expectations. I mean, they're going to be a shape, but like not an intentional shape. Is it a continent? Is it a country? Is it somebody's tongue? Is it a shark tooth? What does it make you think of? Okay, I like that shape. This shape to me, I kind of gave it away, but it is giving shark tooth, right? I've seen enough shark tooth necklaces to know. Ready for Flatbread Nation. The olive oil is going to give it flavor, it's going to conduct heat, and it's also going to prevent the flatbreads from sticking when they go onto the grill. This only takes a couple of minutes. I heard a tiny sizzle when it hit. Already seeing some bubbling coming up on the surface. And the dough is soft, but it's also sturdy enough that it's not dripping down through the grill grates, which is important. And what I want is to cook it on this side until the dough stiffens up a little bit, until I've got these nice big airy bubbles all over that top surface and there's some browning. Avoid the impulse to go too far on the first side. You're gonna have no trouble flipping these. And if you take it too far, you'll lose the elasticity and the moisture in the dough. And then that second side will just be tough instead of airy and light and fluffy. Second side's gonna go a little bit faster. It's already warmed up. It's partially cooked through. So I just wanna see it kind of dry out, get golden brown. That's the party side. While this one cools down, I'm gonna get another one going right behind it. The funnest part is now upon us. All of the components get to come together. It's a party on a flatbread. It's a party in your backyard. So starting with my whipped ricotta, I'll do the mushroom scallion first. Everything is always better with a little more olive oil, a little flaky salt. I've given myself a geometry problem here. I think I'm gonna go this way. So there's like nice airy floofiness. There's good charring bits on the end. I have lovely bite-sized toppings. I can just stand around and chill and eat this. Really get the lemon from the ricotta mixture. And then it's doubled down with the lemon juice in the veggies. And my little caramelized bit of scallion was really sweet. As I'm eating it, I'm like, what's that other flavor? What's that like other lemony, peppery, funky thing? Cumin seed. The cumin seeds in the flatbread. So delicious with all of the veggies and the other seasonings. Okay. Let's make an asparagus one, just for fun. Love him. It's so springy, but like asparagus, lemon, ricotta, classic combination, classic for a reason. Seasoning the veg couldn't have been easier. Salt, pepper, olive oil. Making the flatbread, we might as well have been making pancakes. It was so easy. There was a little bit of kneading. It was great and delicious. And then you just get to come hang out by the fire, keep the party going, stoke it up, flip it down, turn it over, put the schmear on, and eat it. It's great. Invite your vegetarians over and convert your omnivores. And there's absolutely something for everyone except for the people who are gluten-free or vegan. I'll get you next time.